Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Foreign Correspondents Club of Japan, to this press conference. I'm Anthony Rowley, a former president of the club, and it's my pleasure to introduce today's speaker, who is Taro Kono, to my right. He's a very well-known figure with a long record in politics and in the sporting world, and that's what I might call a fight of her rights. Unfortunately, it's a press conference, time is short, so I'm not going to be able to give him the kind of introduction that he deserves. But he is a prominent and long-serving member of the lower house, the House of Representatives, for the Liberal Democratic Party of Japan. And he comes from a rather long line of distinguished Japanese politicians, as you probably know, I'm sure. His father was Yohei Kono, a former president of the LDP, and his grandfather was Ichiro Kono, who was also a member of the party, and his great-uncle Kenzo Kono were also very active in Japanese national politics. Mr. Kono was born in Hiratsuka, Odawara, and he studied economics at Keio University and then went on to the United States, where he furthered his studies at the Suffield Academy and at Georgetown University. He served in a number of posts with the LDP, and he ran for the presidency of the party in 2009 when he came in second behind Sadakazu Tanigaki. His particular assignment at the present time is to examine the thorny issue of administrative reform in Japan, and especially the need to balance the budget by reducing certain government expenditures. I won't say any more because I think it's better for me to give the floor to Mr. Kono. So please join me in welcoming today's speaker.
Thank you very much. Good morning. Thank you very much for inviting me over. I usually do the lunch thing, but right now the parliamentary situation is unstable, and I might need to rush back to the parliament, so time is kind of limited. I have been appointed as chairman of administrative reform commission or whatever in the Liberal Democratic Party, which is directly connected to the president of the party, Mr. Shinzo Abe. Mr. Abe and I totally disagree on energy issues and others, but he asked me to do this, and my job right now is to make the budget balanced by 2020 by reducing the expenditure. So that is, yeah. I'm going to use a PowerPoint, and I'll spend about 20-25 minutes explaining what's going on in debate in the party. The balancing budget or reducing the deficit is one of the key components for Abe government. Well, the deficit is so huge, and I don't think we can just get rid of the budget deficit. So we are focusing on the primary balance, which is to balance the budget without a debt service. This is not the first time that we are trying to do this. We have tried a couple of times before, and we made a forecast, and we all failed. The budget deficit, the first time, it was 97 under the Prime Minister Hashimoto. We even made a law to balance the budget, and a couple of years after, we just got rid of it because the economy was so bad and the government was asked to increase the spending. And then 2006, we tried again, and there was an economic crisis of 2008, and we had to increase the spending, and we failed. And during the DPJ government, they tried once, and well, they lost the government. So this is going to be, I don't know, fourth or fifth try, and I think we have to do this, or I think that deficit going to be so huge that we won't be able to balance it. We always start out with the GDP forecast. And this time, the government gave two forecasts. It is a baseline case, which is shown at the blue dots, and then the growth scenario by the red dots. The baseline case is annual growth will be around 1.3, 1.4% into the foreseeable future. And then the growth case scenario, the annual nominal GDP growth will be around 3.3, 3.6%. The difference comes from a lot thing, but the major difference is so-called total factor for productivity, TFP. TFP for the growth scenario is 2.2%, which is similar to what we had during the bubble economy in 1980s. So 2.2% of TFP is, I don't think it's realistic. So I would go along with baseline case. That was my argument at the beginning. But because my position is directly under the prime minister or the president of the party, whose Abenomics is to increase the GDP growth to over 3%. So I couldn't really say that 3% growth scenario is unrealistic. That would be counter to the government argument. And then there's a debate within LDP that if we grow the economy, we don't have to worry about the deficit. And those people always argue that we don't need to take care of the expenditure because, you know, if the government spend more, the economy will grow more, and the deficit to the GDP ratio will get smaller. So we decided that our committee decided that we go along with the growth scenario. And then, but we have to check every year if the economy is actually growing as we predicted. And if the growth is not as big as that, I think we need to just cut into expenditure more. There's a tax revenue and expenditure in two scenarios. The blue line is baseline. The red is a growth case scenario. And primary balance forecast is even if we have growth scenario, by 2020 we won't be able to get the primary balance by 2020. Even with the growth scenario, growth case, we are short of 9.4 trillion yen, meaning we need to either cut or increase the revenue by 9.4 trillion yen. If the economy doesn't grow like baseline case, we will have a 17 trillion yen deficit in primary balance in 2020. So my job is to do something about this and make the primary balance by 2020. According to the government forecast, our expenditure will grow 15 trillion yen by 2020. So it is not that we will reduce the spending from now. The spending will grow by 15 trillion yen. And growth scenario, we need to the blue line is the 17 trillion yen deficit in the primary balance. And if the economy grow as a growth case, the revenue will increase 7.6 trillion yen. So the primary balance deficit will be reduced by that much. It's very optimistic scenario, but that's where we start. And there's a debate within LDP that in the government forecast, elasticity in the tax revenue is too small. In the government forecast, the elasticity in the tax revenue is 1.5 something. Some people say it's very conservative. Right now, the tax revenue is actually going over the forecast. It is true, but I doubt that trend will continue. So because the forecast in the growth is a little too optimistic, I would go along with the conservative revenue scenario. So, as I said, from now to 2020, the expenditure grows 15 trillion yen. And in order to achieve primary balance, we need to reduce the growth in expenditure by 9.4 trillion yen, meaning the size of the budget expenditure can grow 5.6 trillion yen. So we're not asking each ministry to reduce the spending from this year's budget. The government itself could expand spending by 5.6 trillion yen instead of 15 trillion. That's what we have to do. If you divide our spending into 4 categories, the pink box is Social Security spending, which is growing almost 1 trillion yen a year in the past. And the yellow box is debt service. We cannot control that. The green box is local transfer, which is a transfer of money from central government to the local governments. And the rest is, I put other. The blue box is the public construction. The one next to it is defense spending. And the one next to that is education and all the rest. We put everything in the other box. Well, if you compare 2005, which is the second from the bottom, to 2015, which is the bottom bar, you notice that local transfer is actually reduced from 2005 to 2015. And other spending, including public construction, defense, education, all the rest, the other spending is also reduced from 2005 and 2015. What's getting bigger is Social Security, the pink one. It used to be almost 20 trillion yen in 2005. Now it's over 30 trillion yen 10 years later. So it's going up annually by 1 trillion yen. And the debt service is also growing, although interest rate is very low right now. So obviously, the first thing we have to do is how to control the Social Security. The government scenario, according to the government scenario, the Social Security expenditure will grow 4 trillion yen in next 5 years. Our strategy is to reduce that growth by 1.5 trillion yen. So the Social Security expenditure could grow 2.5 in next 5 years. Well, Abe government has been controlling the Social Security spending quite well. For the past 3 years, the annual growth is just about 0.5 trillion yen. So if we could continue this trend, I think we'll meet the target. The government is trying to forecast Social Security spending will grow for the next 5 years annually 0.5 trillion yen. So we need a annual cut by 0.3 trillion yen every year for the next 5 years, and we will meet the target. But I think the government forecast is a bit too large. I don't think it will grow 0.8 trillion yen. So how much we have to cut is not so sure at this moment, but we need to control the Social Security expenditure growth under 0.5 trillion yen annually. We divide the Social Security into 4 categories. The bottom one, the blue, is the pension. The pension spending is the largest among the Social Security spending, but it is not growing fast. Thanks to the macroeconomic slide, which is to, well, until now, we have adjusted pension, adjusted for inflation. So if there's 2% inflation, we give 2% growth in the pension. But a macroeconomic slide means we adjust pension for whatever inflation minus 1%. And that will continue for next 30 years. So if the macroeconomic slide continues, we don't have to much worried about the pension for the budget spending. What we need to worry about is the medical and the nursing. Well, due to the macroeconomic slide, pension will not cost much for the budget. But we will consider reducing the deduction for the public pension. Or if you earn a lot, I think we need to reduce the public pension for those high pension recipients. The medical and the nursing is a problem because it is expected to grow a lot due to the, number one, aging of population. Number two, advancement in medication and equipment. Sorry, it's in Japanese. I'll explain. The second from the bottom chart is age 65 to 74. And the bottom box is for age 75 and over. Right now, both age group has about 15 million people. 15 million people for 65 and 74. 15 million people over 75 years old. By 2025, those people who are between 65 and 74 are approximately stable, 15 million people still there. But those who are over 75 years old will be more than 20 million. We expect to grow those population by approximately 7 million people. And the red number 8.5, meaning if you are between 65 and 74 years old, your average medical cost annually is 85,000 yen a year. But if you're 75 or older, average cost for medication is 326,000 yen annually. So it's 4 times larger. And the right-hand red number, 1.4, meaning if you're aged between 65 and 74, the nursing cost annually is 14,000 yen average. But if you're 75 years old, nursing cost average costs 131,000 yen. So it's 9 times larger. And those group will grow 7 million people. So aging population will cost money for medical and nursing. Plus, we have a lot of advancement in medicine. My father has hepatitis C, and he's been trying to kill the virus, and so far he wasn't able to do it. But the latest medicine that he is trying just kill the virus, and his virus is right now nil. So it is great medicine, but it costs a lot of money. And there are a lot of those new medicine expected, and that will cost a lot for our medical spending. So our strategy is, well, we have to accommodate budget spending for the aging population. But we need to put some kind of cap on the advancement in medication covered by the health insurance. So we will put some kind of cap And if it goes over, you have to pay on your own. That is our strategy for the next 5 years. And the welfare is actually forecasted to grow at a higher rate than pension, medical, and nursing. So we need to look at the standard of the welfare, and we'll probably need to reduce the cost for the welfare. And then the growth in the other expenditure. The government forecast is for next 5 years, it will grow 2.5 trillion yen. And that is not acceptable. If we look back from 2005 and 2015, we actually reduced the expenditure in this category. So for next 5 years, our strategy is not to grow anything. We will just keep the current level for the other expenditure, which include the public spending, defense, education, foreign aid, subsidy to the agricultural, and all those things. Well, we are losing population, and the number of 18-year-old students is going down. So spending on education should go smaller. And our per capita GDP is, compared to the foreign countries, are going smaller. So I think our spending on foreign aid should be smaller by now. So total other expenditure shouldn't grow at all. Do I have a scenario? Yeah. Well, 2.5 trillion yen increase is because the government gives 2% growth annually. They say because the expected inflation rate is 2%. So they say 2.5 trillion yen in accordance with inflation. I don't see 2% inflation is coming right now, and they don't need it anyway. So we will check the other spending. Give you one example that where we can cut deep. We spend probably 300 billion yen annually. I think it's according to the Monbusho, the Ministry of Education calculation. According to the Ministry of Education, we spend 300 billion yen for the cost of English teacher in junior high and high school. We spend so much money, but if you speak to high school graduate in this country, none of them speak English. So those 300 billion yen is wasted, and we recommending to fire them and replace them with computer software. Seriously, we are trying to have all those English teachers to take TOEFL. And if they don't make a cut, I think they have to do something other than teaching English. And we'll probably lose a lot of them if we do. The other area is expenditure of the local government. We have over 1,700 cities and towns and 47 prefectures. And their spending is expected to grow 8 trillion yen the next 5 years. And our strategy is to make it half to the 4 trillion yen for the next 5 years. Expenditure of the local government are supported by the local transfer from the central government. So their primary balance for the local government in 2020 is actually nearly 5 trillion yen surplus. But because central government transfer money to the local government, they enjoy their surplus. And we need to change the mechanism of current local transfer. Like each city, if they borrow money, they can expect central government to pay off the debt in the future. So they don't worry much to increase the spending. And I think we have to make them accountable for the borrowing. And the central government is required to give certain amount of money to local government. But starting from 2018, the actual local transfer to the local government will exceed the need for their spending. So those excess money need to be spent to pay off the debt by the local government. Because they have extra money, if they start new project or if they start new spending, that would worsen the primary balance. So we have to make sure that we make some kind of mechanism to control local government spending. There's a special account by central government and the independent government agencies. They also spend too much, and we have to make sure that the government agency increase its revenue other than the government subsidies, or they have to cut the spending. And the government now gives TEPCO out of energy special account to clean the mess, and TEPCO hasn't paid back yet. So we have to make sure that TEPCO pay back to the government. And we are expecting to increase the consumption tax to 10%. So we're not really talking about how to increase the revenue. If we start talking about increasing revenue, I think the pressure on each ministry to cut the expenditure get weaker. So we're not really talking about a tax. But there's a way to increase the revenue other than tax. Right now, the Japanese TV station and radio station are paying radio wave, so-called the radio wave fee, but it is very, very small. And they are monopolizing radio wave to make money. So I think they need to spend a certain amount of fee to the people. In Europe, many countries does the auction of radio wave. That is one way to do it. Well, we simply need to increase the fee. We have a football lottery, Toto. Toto money goes to Japan Sports Center, and they distribute the money whatever they feel like. And we think the football lottery money should come into the government, and the government should decide how much we spend on each subsidy to the sports organization. Social Security premium adjustment and the merging tax agency and the Social Security agencies. The tax agency goes after tax money for each corporations if they don't spend the tax, but they will not collect the Social Security premium. The tax agency has a lot of information on each companies, and they have all the numbers. But the Social Security agency is notorious for not doing it. So I don't know, we might be better off if we merge two agencies, and if tax agency go after the tax, corporate tax, they should also collect the Social Security premium. According to the government forecast, by baseline case 2016 or growth case 2019, the nominal interest rate will exceed the nominal growth in GDP. So meaning the budget deficit compared to GDP will get worsened either case. And the government debt, according to the government forecast, the red line is a growth case scenario, and it looks, if the economy grows, the government debt to GDP get smaller and smaller. We had a suspicion. We had a suspicion about it, so we asked some economists to calculate. 2023 will be the bottom, and the government debt will start increasing again, even if the economy grows because of the higher interest rate. So I think we can write scenario to get primary balance by 2020. But even if we balance the primary balance by 2020, we still have a debt service outside of it. And as the economy grows, interest rate get higher and higher, and the debt service get bigger and bigger. So we cannot just focus primary balance. We need to talk about entire spending and entire budget. And we need to talk about to put some kind of ceiling on the government debt to control the balancing budget. Right now, we are talking about just a primary balance. The funny thing is, in the past, it is usually the government who want more cut in expenditure, especially the Ministry of Finance present the party LDP, well, we need to cut so much expenditure. And the LDP politicians say, no, 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 we cannot cut so much and make the cut smaller. But this year, it's the opposite. The government is actually presenting 5 to 6 trillion yen cut in expenditure. Even the government, according to the government forecast, we could increase the revenue if the economy grows, but still there's a 9.4 trillion yen debt or deficit. The government said, well, we may be able to increase some tax revenue by 2020. So let's say we need to cut 5 to 6 trillion yen. And the party say, no way, that is not good enough. So we need to cut more. So the politician wants to get more cut in expenditure, and the ministry wants to cut less, which is unheard of. I don't know what the hell is going on, but that's what we have. So the politician is pushing to cut the budget, and the ministry wants to cut less. I'm not sure why this is the case, but the debate's going funny way. We need to present, we meaning LDP and the government together need to present strategy by the end of June, how we're going to achieve the primary balance by 2020. And by December, we need to come up with a budget plan for 2016. I think we can do that, but the issue is how are we going to control the government debt and how are we going to control the debt service if the economy grows, if the interest rate get higher. I'll stop here, and if you have any comment or questions, you're welcome. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much for that very clear explanation of a very complicated subject, all delivered in very fluent English. I must say, if all English teachers in Japan had the same degree of fluency as you did, there'd be no problem. But okay, so let's take questions from the working press first. And please, as usual, identify yourself and keep your questions to one if possible. Thank you. Well, sorry, I stood. Yes, please.
Thank you. Isabel Reynolds from Bloomberg. I was wondering, how realistic a prospect do you see it as being to cut expenditure on elderly people, given that they are the most loyal supporters of the LDP and most likely to vote in Japan? And I have one other small related question. One of the big expenditures that's a subject of debate in Japan at the moment is the Olympics. Do you have any view on how spending should be organized for the Olympics?
Thank you. Cutting spending on the elderly people is politically very big issue. It's almost suicidal. Last December general election in my district, those people who actually voted, not just the constituency, but those who actually went to ballot box, 60 years old or older accounted for 51% of entire voters. Those in 20s accounted for 8%. Those in 30 to 39 accounted for 13%. So in 20s and 30s accounted for less than a quarter, and 60 years old or older accounted for 51%. So if you are a sane candidate, you will go after those elderly voters. Will help you. but that would be counterproductive. We need to increase the birth rate, and we need to take care of the younger people so that they can increase the number of children. So it is very difficult, but I think even the senior citizen begin to understand that something has to be done in the current situation. So I think we need to continue explaining this is something necessary to do it. So debate within LDP is we have to do what we have to do, and then we have to think how we're gonna get elected after that. It is easy to say, but it's quite difficult. So I mean, right now we have 2/3 majority. The coalition has 2/3 majority in the lower house, so we could lose the upper house. Don't call me on that. But so my gut feeling is we should be talking about Social Security spending and the tax now, and defense next year. It's sort of going other way around. But I think we have to deal with the government deficit sooner, and then give enough time for the economy to recover and people are sort of happy, and then we're going to have a next general election. So I think the debate need to be sort of speed up and give time to heal. But even within the LDP, I think the younger generation tend to support us, meaning we need to cut more than what the government are talking about right now. Olympics, yes, I am the bad guy. Mm-hmm. The Mr. Mori once said, because of Taro Kono, we have to give up the Olympic in 2020. I oppose to the national stadium. I don't think we need it. We have enough stadium in Yokohama, Saitama, and we have enough facility. And their plan was outrageous. They used to say it costs like 300 billion yen. And we said no way. So they came back, and now they are saying 160 billion yen. The day before yesterday, they came back to me. Sorry, it was a miscalculation. That cannot be done. It will cost 300 billion again. And I said that is not acceptable. And now they are saying, well, they can't do the roof. The original plan was to have a roof that it shut and opens. They can't do that by 2019 when we have the Rugby World Cup. So there'll be no roof by Olympic game, and they will do the roof afterward. I said we don't need a stadium. Even if we are to build a stadium, we don't need to meet the 2019. There's a place for the rugby game all over Japan. But I don't know. The Ministry of Education still wants to build that way, and I don't know. They promised the budget will not exceed 170 billion yen, but now the cap is gone, and they are not sure if they can build the stadium by 2019. So a lot of things is up in the air, and I think we need to go after. And the governor of Tokyo is a bit angry because they simply ask the governor to give 50 billion yen subsidy to the central government or something, and I don't think Tokyo should pay for that. And the Ministry of Education wants to spend a lot of money to get the gold medal. So they came up with crazy budget plan to give each sports association. And I said, well, at least the party is not supporting any budget plan to buy gold medal in 2020 Olympic medal. So I'm the bad guy. And now we're creating a new agency for sport. We'll see.
Okay. I can quite understand why the Wall Street Journal, I think, was described you as a rebel with a cause rather than a rebel without a cause. Okay, over there, yes, please.
Süddeutsche Zeitung, Germany, Neidhardt. Good to see you again. Your last graph shows that even if you have balanced budget by 2020, the debt, government debt will increase. I think there's a word for that. That's bankruptcy. Is the Japanese state bankrupt?
Well, I think we need to avoid the bankruptcy. That's why I'm assigned to this job. Right now, the Bank of Japan is buying all the government bond, and the interest rate is almost nil. So the debt service is very small, although we have huge government debt. But the Bank of Japan cannot continue doing this. And once they start looking for sort of exit strategy, and if they stop buying government bond as it is, I think interest rate have to go up. In order to avoid the big jump, I think we need to reduce the issue of new bond by them. Meaning we really need to at least get the primary balance before Bank of Japan looks for exit strategy. So that's why we think we need to increase, speed up the process. I think we can write a strategy to balance the primary balance, but what comes after that is much harder. And my recommendation to the entire party is we cannot just focus on the primary balance. We need to just look at the government debt and the entire budget. I don't know if they will take my recommendation or not, but I think there's no alternative. And as you said, the situation looks really bad. So if we fail this time, I don't think we can do this. So the B word will get bigger and bigger every year. So we have to do something now. I mean, we should have done it 2006, but there was economic crisis. That was understandable. And demography looks bad. One side issue is we are losing population and our labor force is getting shrinking. And we need to take immigration in. But there's a psychological barriers to talk about immigration policy. And I think it's crazy. We'll see. Come back in 5 years and see what the number looks like.
Just a quick follow-up, if I may, on that. The Japanese society at the moment is like an inverted pyramid. At the bottom is a small number of young people. At the top is a huge number of old people. As time goes by in the coming years, a lot of the older people will die, of course, unfortunately. Now, to what extent does that reduce the burden, or is it simply that those elder people that die will be replaced by younger people getting older? I mean, does the demographic profile increase as time goes by, or not?
Well, we have huge population between 65 and 70. That's so-called Dankai Sedai, and that is the largest group. And they're not gonna die out soon. They will be hanging around, well, which is good. I mean, we have one of the longest life expectancy in Japan, so it is a good thing. So for next 15 to 20 years, I mean, they'll be all healthy, and then it will be a little adjusted inverted pyramid, because the number of the children is still 1 point something. I mean, even my family, my wife and I only have a son. When Mr. Koizumi was a prime minister, I was talking about the pension reform. And the Prime Minister said, well, I'm divorced, but I have 3 children. You are married and you have only 1. So you got to do something before you start talking about pension. I haven't done that yet, but so we really need to talk about birth rate, but that is not enough. We really definitely need to start talking about immigration, or at least issuing work permit for foreign labor.
Thank you. Sorry, you are a regular member, a foreign correspondent, yes?
This is journalist.
Oh, so sorry, yes. Oh, I didn't recognize you. Sorry, of course you are. Yes, okay, yes.
So my name is Richard Tusilo from Indonesia. It's actually about the immigration law. You are talking about the next 10 years, 2025. Especially the nursing budget is increasing 9 times. It's quite interesting for me. So meanwhile, the people, the nurse is not enough here in Japan. And now you are importing from Indonesia, also from Philippines, maybe from Vietnam next. So that 9 times larger the per person, the cost. Is it included the cost for importing them, or only the medical expense? And one more question is about it's different question. It's about the gambling, about the casino. What about the income from the casino? What about the pro and cons in here in Japan? Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry, get back to that. 9 times meaning, if you compare average cost of nursing between age group 75 over and 65 to 74. If you are 65 years old to 74 years old, your average cost would be 14,000 yen. And those who are over 75 years old cost 131,000 yen. So that is 9 times bigger. And the number of people who are 75 years old or older will get bigger and bigger. And that is a very big negative impact. And yes, I strongly believe we need to let Indonesian, Filipino, Vietnamese, whoever willing to work in this country should be entitled to get the work permit and do whatever they are good for. Right now, the official government policy is no cheap labor from foreign country. But that's a big lie, because there is so-called Japanese South Americans. There's a so-called trainees, mostly Southeast Asia and China. I mean, they call it trainees. I mean, picking cabbage in the farmland, how much training do you need, you know? Picking oyster out of the shell, I mean, they do that for 3 years. I mean, how much training you need that? Or making beds in the hotel. So it's a big lie, and it's a backdoor. So I would say, you know, let's close the back door and start issuing work permit. About the casino, I'm not sure about that, because I think quite a few people are addicted to pachinko right now. I think the Ministry of Health and Welfare need to do the study what the hell is going on with the pachinko situation, and they need to take care of that. That's number one. Number two, like cities of Yokohama or Osaka wanted to open up casino. I don't think those 2 cities need to do it. Because why are we doing casino? I think we need to give jobs to the region where there aren't enough jobs, so they are losing young people, like Shikoku, Hokkaido, Kyushu, Okinawa, or place like that. It's understandable to make one casino in, say, prefecture of Kochi, so that there's a place for young people in Kochi to work, or the number of employment in Kochi will be increased. But you have enough jobs in Yokohama. And I totally disagree that city of Yokohama need to open a casino for tourism or anything. We have enough foreign tourists right now, and Yokohama could survive without a casino. So I think we need to limit location of casino resort, even if we pass the bill.
So you don't see casinos as a major source of government revenue in the future then?
It's maybe one way to do it, but we need to ask: do we get enough tax revenue from pachinko industry?
And if you do that, then you don't need to worry about casinos. That's the point. Yes?
I don't know.
Okay. Yes.
Khalil Hassan, Ambassador of Bahrain. Thank you very much, Your Excellency, for your presentation. I've been before a Minister of Health. I'm very impressed by the efficiency of healthcare in Japan. But my question is, there is a gate in healthcare. Preventive healthcare, there is a gate in healthcare. There's preventive healthcare, there's primary healthcare, there's secondary healthcare, there's tertiary healthcare. But what we notice in Japan, people can suddenly jump to the hospital to get treatment. And this is very, very costly. At the same time, in Japan, you have around 13 beds for 10,000 population, while in Europe, you have around 3 to 4. But you have a huge amount of beds in the hospitals. This is a huge expenditure. I know your healthcare is very efficient. You are very efficient, and you spend half of what US spend. But you can reduce this as far as I can understand. Can you please?
Thank you. I didn't go into details of how we're going to cut the medical costs, but controlling the number of beds in the hospital is one big issue. If you compare the hospital beds by prefecture, I think the prefecture of Fukuoka comes number one. And the medical cost in the prefecture of Fukuoka is by far the largest among the 47 prefectures. So controlling the hospital bed is very important. And our recommendation goes even over that. I think the Japanese hospital tend to buy expensive medical equipment like a CT, MRI, or all those things. And the hospitals compete for the latest model. And if they buy those equipment, they have to use it to recover the cost. So not only to control their hospital bed, I think we need to control the number of the expensive medical equipment as well. And we really have to do that. And number two, the ministry or the Doctors Association usually brag about, in Japan, there's a free access. Well, free access may be a good idea, but I often experience if someone's family found out that they have cancer, then suddenly they don't know where to go. So they start calling people. Do you know the good doctor for this cancer or that cancer? So what is important is not the free access. What's important is right access. And you're very right. Even if you catch a minor cold, people want to go to the big hospitals. Or if you get the scratch, you go to the big hospital. And we are trying to make a gatekeeper. You have to go to a certain doctor, and he will refer to you a big hospital if you need to go see doctors there. There's a very strong opposition from Doctors Association, because the Doctors Association in this country don't represent the doctors in the big hospital. And they are very politically active. So we have a very strong opposition usually when we start talking about cutting the medical expenditure. But that's something that has to be done. So You are very right. We all have to do the controlling access, controlling the number of the hospital bed, and all those things. But still, we need to cover the universal coverage of health insurance to a certain point. We don't want to be like United States, so we will keep the universal coverage. That is number one priority.
Thank you. We have time for one more question, I think. Okay, all right. Go ahead, please.
Thank you for your presentation, Your Honor. I have a
Could you
question.
identify yourself?
Oh, yes, sorry. I am Makoto Honja, an associate. I have a question. You have been talking about trimming or cutting expenditures, but there are some areas in the Japanese budget system that needs more spending, I think. Like, for instance, there are people who are qualified to obtain seikatsuhogo, but only a very small percentage of them are actually being covered by that, and the others are kind of not paid for by the seikatsuhogo system. Or there are the expenditure on a per capita basis for education is very low in Japan as compared to other developed countries. And shouldn't there be more expenditures in those areas while cutting in some areas which are sort of, extravagant or overpaid or whatever it is?
Sure, but the entire spending must be controlled. I think what you're talking about is like education falls under the other category. And if they are willing to cut any part of the other category, they can expand the spending in education. Welfare, if they need to take care of the welfare, I think they need to control who actually received the welfare. So entire spending must be under the certain cap. But within the cap, I think there must be some field that you need to cut more, like foreign aid, or if you want to increase the spending, you have to find the place to cut the budget. So entire thing has to be under control. But in each smaller category, there should be some category that we need to increase the spending. I wouldn't deny that, but the whole budget must be in control.
Okay, well, unfortunately, we've now come up on closing time. Thank you, Kono-san, very much for an extremely interesting, if I may say so, frank debate on these critical issues. When I was talking to Kono-san in the ante-room, he showed an interest in joining this club as an associate member, and certainly I would like to encourage that, but I don't want to deter him from doing so by giving him this honorary membership for 1 year, but I'm very happy to do so.
Thank you very much.
Please come back and talk to us again sometime. Thank you very much.
Thank you.